All right. Sorry, JK, repeat a little bit of what you said. I'm sorry about that.
Yeah, sure. I'm trying to provide an update right now on the answers that we've gotten for the further due diligence. So I've sent out the further due diligence forms to, I think, 5-6 additional pools that I know are pretty decent hitters at this point in terms of stake power. And so I've reached out to them. A few have gotten back already, but I'm still waiting for others to get back to me. So overall, you'll see on the Trello board that we're keeping track of these stuff. I've moved the pools that have answered fully onto the next column where we could start evaluating them further. There are still ones that are still laggards. I need to reach out to them. I'm going to do that, touch base with them over the course of, I guess today and tomorrow. I will need some help though on 2 pools that I'm struggling on how to approach. One is Bitcoin Swiss and the other is Liquid Stake. I don't know who reached out to him previously, but it'd be good to get some help on those 2. Reach out to those 2.
Awesome. Sweet. I'll try finding you who reached out. It might be a little difficult. The good news is we have those initial answers from Liquid Stake at the very least. They are on this sheet for the ones that have responded so far, which is good.
Let me just add one more thing. And then also, I haven't reached out to any exchanges yet. So, without a doubt, Kraken, Binance, and I guess soon Coinbase and also I guess Huobi Pool. They're all offering it during 2.0 staking services. So that's also still on my list of to do.
Gotcha. Awesome. Michael, do you want to give us a quick update on the website?
Yes. Let me. Do I have rights to screen share?
You're right. I always do this, don't I? Hold on. All right, your host.
Okay, solid. Let me. Here we go. Okay, cool. So this is what I would consider sort of the last framework update before pushing to production. And I do have a couple questions regarding this. So just real quick to get this on the recording, because I don't know if it was on there last, we did a couple meetings ago update this section from a single rating to a more granular rating based off of the initial evaluations per staking pool. And just real quick, I want to highlight, I did add for sort of stickiness and overall marketing purposes, our calendar. I'm still working on putting our official meetings in here, but this is actually our Google Calendar feed, just sort of branded to the EDDC site, and then sort of polished up the About Us section here. So we'll add additional sort of marketing features, but I just wanted to kind of let it be known that we're starting to carve those out now, since we're starting to tie up the beef here, the heart of obviously what we're trying to do, which are the evaluations, and that sort of transitions into my question here. And let me bring up one of the evaluations. Just so I'm aware, can you actually see, is it visible, the Zoom taskbar in the middle of the screen?
The Zoom taskbar in the middle of this.
Or is that just present for like a local thing? I just want to make sure it's not interrupting the share.
I don't see the Zoom taskbar. Does anyone else see it? No, we're good. Phil said we're good, so we're good.
Cool. So the main question I've got here, just actually real quick. So I did implement the sort of accordion style here to make the Q&A section a little bit more user-friendly instead of just a wall of text. Then we have our placeholder for the just like consolidated, this is what we think of the staking pool, the good, the bad, and then our overall rating based off the template. So this is live now and ready to publish, but in principle here, but what I want to discuss here and get some insight on is this top. So I know I initially during the mock-up presentation, there were some comments made, but I apologize. I didn't write those down. So if we could go over that again, that'd be great in terms of what we want to see and prioritize for this top header. And then we can kind of go from there. And these are just placeholders, but I think there should be, it doesn't have to be like, this is what I'm pulling from Beacon Chain for like their, effectiveness rating, or this could be anything. It's just more of what would be valuable to us to kind of showcase right off the bat.
I just think the name.
And maybe a link to the website.
Yep, I agree.
Okay, no ratings, no like quick facts, just staking pool name and link to their dark site.
Yep.
Though
Solid.
I like the to have some place where we can say whether everything is working fine right now with them. So I don't know. This quick overview whether everything is fine-ish is somewhat cool. So this rating 99%. I guess this indicates the effectiveness.
That the issue with rating 99%, I just don't, is that 99% uptime? Is that what that is? And if
That's gonna be very difficult to pull off real time, I think.
agree.
Well, true if we don't know the validators associated with the validators, with the staking pool.
Yeah, I mean, we have a graffiti. I think rocket pool might be also easy to identify, but otherwise, it's gonna be very, very difficult.
True.
I think
Would there be value? Go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, I think one of the heuristics we raised early on was, if a pool has gone 6 months and everything is running smoothly, like as in there's no slashings or other sort of major negative events, that's like a good benchmark. So maybe we use that or some variation where we say, like, has there been any sort of a negative, like a major downtime or a slashing event in the past 6 months? And if no, then everything is going basically okay, right? Like we're probably not going to be able to get like the attestation effectiveness or anything like that, but that's, I think, what could substitute maybe.
Yep, I would agree. That sounds familiar now that you're bringing it up as well. Just real quick, would there be value in, instead of having like a rating per se, to have just a general status? So like a, live, down, or otherwise, just saying like if there is a slashing or some sort of network thing specific to a pool that they can sort of funnel here for a post triage or just a quick update, is it down or is it me type of situation? What are the thoughts on that?
I love the idea, but it requires constant maintenance.
Exactly.
And so if you're going to position yourself as that kind of oracle, then you really have to have the tooling in place to be an accurate oracle, because the first time you're wrong, you are no longer valid.
Yep, that makes sense. Okay, cool. Then we'll just got it. We'll cut that functionality. I think you're right. That's outside of the scope of what we're trying to do here. And we'll just keep it to the evaluations. So just real quick then, name, website, the overall evaluation, the edit to the specific staking pool, their answers to the Q&A, and then our summary. Are we good on this section then, overall as a concept?
I think we wanted to take away the good, bad, right? And the numerical rating. So maybe like strengths and then areas of improvements, or it doesn't even need to be necessary to have it. Well, or it could just be what we had on the first page, right? And just repaste it here.
And generally, someone brought up this last time. I like this badge idea to show some kind of what is the strength of the staking pool, what is really doing well, because a lot of these architectures make trade-offs, and this kind of shows more the user what is the target audience maybe.
So could we go this direction and say maybe change the verbiage from good to bad to strength and weakness, and then maybe replace the green rating here section with a changed, as in like otherwise maybe they updated this, that, or the other thing.
Yes.
And then below that, we further highlight the overall rating. We give them the granular X amount green, X amount yellow, X amount red. Would that fit?
But even and I know it seems like it's like what makes the difference. Even instead of weakness, I would rather be areas for improvement. And I know that I might be being a little bit of a marketing person here about that, but I think that is a little bit more collaborative approach versus weakness.
I think you're underestimating the importance of that, because we really do want to be welcoming to pools, and if we use language that vilifies them or makes them seem incompetent, then they're not going to want to have anything to do with us. In fact, they're going to distance themselves from us. So that language, while you minimize it, it is very important that we get it right.
Yeah, I would maybe suggest, like, instead of having two columns like good and bad or advantage, disadvantage, just have one called key considerations. And we can just present sort of like what you should be thinking about if you're considering a certain pool, and people can decide whether it's like good or bad for them.
Yeah, I like that. I think that would be great.
I'm down with that.
Okay. Awesome.
I'm still okay with dividing them, and I'll go with majority. I am okay with dividing them. I just want to be careful that the wording is not insulting.
Yeah, I would agree. Okay. Then that's actually all I have on my end.
Awesome. The first page looked great, by the way, with the updates with the rating boxes. That looked really strong. All right. Since we're having separate further due diligence meetings now, I know for a fact we don't have anything to present to the table from the further due diligence meeting. And I also want to get into the ratings of see if we can get a couple of these ratings done as quick, with the rest of the time. So Phil, are you okay with that? We just go straight into ratings.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Awesome.
I mean, other than we had a meeting last week where we assigned responsible persons for each of the questions in the spreadsheet, there's nothing to report further than that, I guess.
And yeah, we're gonna have another meeting for the further due diligence, and then we'll come back with any changes that we suggest based on the research that we do. Awesome. So everyone, I posted in the general channel at 11:03 p.m. the Google Doc or the Google Sheets that has the latest answers from these staking pools. So if everyone could pull that up, or I can even get really crazy here and share my screen.
Okay, perfect. I was just going to ask if you do that.
Give me 2 seconds. All right. Oh, you got to share your screen, Michael. Or you got to enable share screen now that you're the host.
Okay. Yep. Sending it over. 1 second.
Nice. Give me 2 seconds. Share screen. Awesome. Can everyone see? I'm assuming that's a yes.
Yeah, looks good for me.
Perfect. All right.
Yep, looks good.
So, latest ones that we got, I believe, starts with Stakewise. No, we have Stakewise. We actually already went over Stakewise. We just got them to report it twice. So it's really Liquid Stake is a new one for us that we should evaluate. All right. So give me 2 seconds.
Are these answers that were originally submitted but was just not merged onto this sheet?
One more time.
Oh, so like, these aren't new answers, right? These are just answers that weren't merged into this sheet.
These are relatively new answers. We haven't gone over these answers yet. They're not like brand new. We were waiting for so Lido, the latest one came in 218, but effectively in the month of January and February, these are new answers, right? And we were waiting for a
Gotcha.
few to come in before we evaluated them. And whoever has edit access, I'm asking to be edit access. Actually, let me try this.
It's me and I didn't know it. I thought my version was the
I might have been logged into the wrong email account. So let me see if this is
oh, I just got a request to access on ETH2, so I do have access to it. Give me just a moment.
I don't know whether we want
I got it.
to
We're
edit
good.
this one.
We're good. We're good.
Oh, shouldn't we copy it over to the colored one?
Yes, we should. We should, but for the sake of time, I will copy it over to the colored one so we have that ready for the further due diligence process. But since we just have this one pulled up right now, I just think we should just like crank it out and go.
Okay, just wanted to make sure that we don't mess up this spreadsheet in terms of when Google Form uses this
Oh,
as the
because this
source.
is the actual.
Yeah.
So I am available. I could rip that right now and throw it over to the other document, and I can do the screen share while Madison leads the call, if that's okay.
We can do that. So
Give me just a moment to find. It's been a minute since we've worked on this, apparently.
yeah, let me stop and then I'll get it pulled up because I know where it is because we went over it for due diligence. Give me 2 seconds.
Oh, it's because maybe it's shared. It's an eStaker document, not a Superfizz document. That's why I'm slow.
No, not the template.
No, that's the. I thought I could be very quick.
We had it
EDDC
pulled up
vetting.
for the due diligence meeting.
I have it.
You got it?
Yes. Yep. So let me close my tabs and I can.
I'm gonna make you host then so you can share.
Close other tabs. I do need to open one other tab. And you shared that link. Click on that. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and share now. And it's going to be, that's on a Firefox. There we go. Okay, is that correct?
This is the correct
Yeah, I have the other here.
raw one. Yep, we're good.
Okay. So I'm going to scroll down here.
Everything after Rocket Pool. So actually staking facilities submitted twice. So really we only have 3 to go over, I believe.
Okay.
Awesome.
Let's see if I can.
And also the order of the questions is a different one, I guess, in this colored one.
Oh dear, really?
I think so.
I do not recall changing that, but if it is, we can correct it.
I think it's because the columns are collapsed in the colored one.
Oh, yeah, it may be just that the columns are collapsed, but it's still unhide.
I don't even know how to uncollapse them at a real quick pace. I know I'm bad for doing it, but I use Excel more than I use Google Sheets.
Oh,
There should be an unhide here. Oh, it's really just because. Okay, we're not going to get hung up on this, so let's just continue on. If as long as they're in the right place.
Yeah, we can figure out the exact. Yeah, now we're not gonna have an issue editing them, right? So this is fun. All right. So we're gonna start with liquid stake. All right. So which staking pool? That would be green. What country? Oh, I'm going over the wrong questions in the wrong order, aren't I? Okay, this is fun. Well,
I see the issue now.
this is fine. It actually copy pasted correctly. It's totally fine because how much control do you have over users' funds? We custody withdraw keys. I believe that's what we asked, right? That answers the
Yes.
question that we asked. Yep, we're good.
Okay. And so actually we need to start with B. I was just didn't click the right place, but I did unhide those. And so it's quite country of origin is first.
Automatic green. Are you confident? We've been putting all these in yellows. So we custody, the question here is how much control do you have over users' funds? Do you hold 0, 1, or 2 keys? We custody withdraw keys. Our staking service providers, currently Bison, Figment, and Consensus, manage the validator keys. Our custodian will, in the new year, custody voluntary exit messages.
So when you're custodying withdrawal keys, that has historically been a red flag.
I agree.
Let's double check that we're consistent. That's so important. Okay. Can we nod if I'm doing this, if I'm making this a red one?
You're making
Yeah,
it.
I don't think we've seen one yet that has said that they have withdrawal keys, have we? Aside from this?
Well, we have one, I guess, right? Isn't
do we?
Bitcoin Swiss having 2 and it is green?
Yeah, that should be red. Bitcoin Swiss, I know, is custodial.
Whoa,
I
don't
don't-
change it right now. Don't change it right now.
I don't know how we
We'll
the color
validate
code in that last one, because it might have been that we are fine as long as they're saying that they're holding 2 keys and not hiding it somewhere.
So it's a good test. We know that's wrong now. Let's see if it comes up in the further due diligence, this exact point that was made. Let's not change it now. Let's wait for the process to play out and then we can come back.
We should include better notes, and I've done it with some of them, and others are missing what the criteria is. I tried to include that on some of them. We should update that as we go, so that we're not just being relative, but that we have a standard as well.
Yes, completely agree.
Does anyone know what they mean by our custodian will in the new year custody voluntary exit messages? Like,
No clue. I don't understand that.
I don't understand what that means. Okay,
All right,
we'll move on. Never mind.
perfect. So do you have any insurance in case funds are lost? Our BLS keys are generated by and stored at a fully insured custodian. We have done our diligence to protect our customer funds. We're performing an additional independent audit of generated withdrawal credentials conducted by a leading digital security firm to validate all the withdrawal credentials generated by the custodian agent, a custodian against signatures provided for each. I don't know if that was a real sentence or not. This validation used 2 of the leading JavaScript libraries in the Ethereum ecosystem for BLS keys to ensure proper formation at the custodian. I'll have to read through it again personally. I'm not going to read it out loud though.
Well, I want to be fair to recognize they're obviously not English language first, so I don't want us to consider that as a negative. Like, let's just do our best to make good sense of it.
That makes sense. I didn't know that, but that makes sense. I would still put this as a red, right? The keys are at a custodian. The custodian is exploited. The keys are fine, but if there's like a slashing, for an example, there's no insurance that protects the customers. That's my interpretation. Do people agree with that?
Yeah, that's how I would interpret it. I mean, I would need to get clarification on what it means that the keys are at a fully insured custodian. Like, to me, that doesn't imply that the user's funds are all covered by the insurance. So I don't know. I would need more information to say anything other than red, I guess.
Yeah, perhaps it means, like, for example, like the custodian that it's being that they're using is fully insured. Maybe that's what it means. So then that,
JK.
yeah, go ahead. Sorry, I didn't hear it.
No, that's how I interpret it as well. I agree.
Gotcha. Yeah.
And whether that's actually a red or maybe something good depends on what their insurance covers. I mean,
Well, we went by previous evaluations regarding, it's about the user's funds being insured in the case of slashings.
true. I mean, might as well be that their insurance also covers that. We don't know. Just says that the
I'd like to
custodian
point
is
out that
insured.
if we're being relative, everyone, okay. I was just saying this first one that says, no, we don't hold funds. We don't have insurance and they're yellow, but these don't hold insurance and they're a red. We just need to, I just want to make sure we're consistent relative to the other responses. And obviously we need to revisit some. I believe after we finish this horizontal, we should do a vertical for each question. Just after we finish this round, and maybe not tonight, but we should do a relative scaling, not just a, yeah, I'll stop.
Yeah, did we save it down somewhere? Because we did have a relative scaling, right?
Well, what do you mean we did have relative scaling? Like, we did have, for many of these, we have comments that say this is how we're going to rate it.
Yeah.
And they're mostly over here because that's when I started. But I do think that not only should we view every company independently, but we should view every question independently. So when we go through them, we're not looking at the company, but we're saying everyone who says no is red, everyone who says maybe is yellow, and everyone who says yes is green, or something, just in general, so that we're being fair in a matrix style.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying. So do you want to continue on this horizontal and then go back through the verticals?
I mean, I don't, my intention is to be an observer, not a leader in this. But I do think that we have set a good and strong precedent for starting something and finishing it, which is
Yep.
one of my weaknesses. So,
All right. So we'll continue on, and then, maybe at like a future meeting, exactly as you said, we'll go through the verticals, because I think that's a good idea. What is your company's history in the cryptocurrency space? Liquid Stake is a new company formed to provide liquidity to stakers. Its members are all long-standing members of the Ethereum ecosystem. Ideally, I would have liked to have a little bit more details. I don't know how else you guys feel.
I mean, I think in the next question, they do a pretty good job of highlighting their team members' bios. And like I recognize a couple of the names on there, so maybe we can, if you want, we could put it as a yellow for now, and then maybe just in further due diligence, look up a bit more of these guys' backgrounds and just say, hey, we feel good about this team, even though it's a new project, or keep it yellow. So I don't know.
It's also pretty similar to the answer by Stakewise, which also more or less is a new company, but they have experience in the cryptocurrency space.
Yeah, I agree. Based on that second answer, because I hadn't looked at the team members' backgrounds, I would say we put this at green, and based on the precedent of how we evaluated the other ones.
Yeah, sounds good.
Who are your team members and what are their academic and professional backgrounds? I would put this as a green. I recognize these names. If you are using smart contracts, have they been audited by whom? Our users choose which staking provider they want to use. Currently, Bison, Consensus, and Figment. Other staking providers will be integrated over time. I would put that as a red.
does someone else understand that model more? If this is the staking provider, then why are they choosing other staking providers? I'm just not understanding.
I'm gonna. Should I try interpreting it? But yeah, this is an interpretation. So I'm like, we definitely should get more clarification. But from my understanding, like, it's sort of like some of the exchanges where they would not be physically running the validators. They would outsource that to an actual validator runner. In this case, in Liquid Stake's case, those are Bison, Consensus, and Figment. We're actually running the validators, and Liquid Stake is building on top of them. I don't know if they have. Yeah, go ahead, Superphase.
I assume they're doing something like issuing a staking token. Is that kind of what we'd assume in that case?
There is no token.
Okay.
For Liquid's, yeah, for Liquid Stake, my understanding is their purpose is to let you lend based on the tokens that you stake. Yeah. So
Okay.
Yeah, that's also what I'm getting from their website, but I haven't looked into it. You can borrow from your staked Ether, USDC.
They were actually on an episode of Bankless like 3-4 months ago, so I don't really remember the details, but if you guys are interested, it's like an hour long, and they explain how this works, but I think that interpretation is correct.
Awesome. So I would put that as a red though still. Because even if they're aggregating or even if they're building on top of, there would be some auditing that would need to be done, correct?
Well, yeah, actually they are not saying whether they're using, they are not answering the question, are they? They're not saying whether they're using smart contracts or not.
Correct.
it could literally just be integrated without smart contracts, really. So yeah, we need more details on whether they actually do use smart contracts to direct the users' funds. My guess is they won't, because if it's custody and then doing another smart contract, I think sort of defeats the purpose of using a custodian, but yeah.
Awesome. Okay, so describe your staking setup. Do you have your own servers? If no, which hosting providers are you using, which clients are you using, how many nodes are you using, do you have some sort of redundancy built in? Gnosis Safe is used in a portion of the flow when users deposit their ETH for staking. Otherwise, we are not currently using a batch deployment smart contract for the deposit transactions. To me, this one actually answers the previous question more than it answers this question. I would put this as red.
So Madison, is your interpretation here
hold on.
that they're, sorry, go ahead, Phil, go ahead.
Yeah, sorry to interrupt you. I think this is the point where the order is mixed up, because in the original spreadsheet, this is the answer to these. If you're using smart contracts.
Ah, that's right. Because if we look here, we see. Am I muted? No. If we look down here, we see they are discussing an audit in the other question.
So are these two answers just flipped? Are these two columns just flipped?
Yes, I believe that's correct. Thank you, Phil.
Thank you, Phil. All right, sweet.
They are not flipped, because the other one is describe your staking setup.
No, I think they are flipped, because I think they could only be flipped because the last two definitely answer the last two questions.
So our users choose blah 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 is for the question describe your staking setup.
Yes.
Which is right here.
Okay, yeah, then there. Yeah, all right. Yeah. Okay.
All right, so the flipped. Oh man, we got a genius over here. Flipping the columns around for all of them. Is that what you're doing, Superfizz?
Trying.
Wow.
I wouldn't trust my work. Yeah, so I need to delete that first. Delete everything.
Might be easier to copy from the original one and paste it in one by one.
I'll tell you what, this committee has A for dedication without a doubt. But boy, I would say organizationally, we run into some issues with the Excel sheets and whatnot.
Okay, so we should now go back and review column H, just to be fair.
Agreed. If you're using smart contracts, have they been audited? By whom? Gnosis Safe is used in a portion of the flow when users deposit their ETH for staking. Otherwise, we are not using a batch deployment smart contract for the deposit contract transactions. What do you guys think?
The part that concerns me is that Gnosis Safe is used in the portion of the flow. I don't know if that implies there are other smart contracts involved, which would mean that it might require auditing, regardless of how little you might have coded up. But the Gnosis Safe itself, yeah, I know is pretty well, widely used. So there's no concern about that. But it's just that language that just sort of concerns me a bit.
Yeah, I would interpret the language as suggesting at least that they're only using Gnosis Safe, but I would ask clarifying questions around that, because it sounds like you're just depositing into a Gnosis Safe account as the user, and then they're have some sort of multi-sig to release it, and that's all fine. Like, I have no problem with any of that.
Yeah, I would interpret it the same way as James.
So I'd say red for now, potentially changes. What do you guys think about that? Awesome. Next question, describe your staking setup. Do you have your own servers? If no, which hosting provider are you using? Which clients are you using? How many nodes are you using? Do you have some sort of redundancy built in? Our users choose which staking provider they want to use. Currently, Bison, Consensus, and Figment. Other staking providers will be integrated over time. I would honestly put this as a non-rating. Like, I wouldn't even know if we would rate this, right? Unless we want to rate the staking providers that they're aggregating on behalf of their users.
And that's what I thought, because some of these, well, the ones that I recognize are black box, as in they don't release details of anything about their staking setup, which, while they may consider it safe, if it's not community vetted, then
maybe we keep it red. If you know that the other ones are black box and they're included in there, then it should be red. We agreed there? Awesome. I believe this is who is invested in your business? Is there venture capital? Is there a token? If there is a token, what is it used for? There is no token. Unfortunately, it's not quite a real answer. I would put this as red. How much are you charging for your staking services? Liquid Stake charges clients 10 to 11% of their staking rewards, depending on which validator staking provider they choose. The fee to pay to Liquid Stake includes all validator staking fees and remains constant. We were just trying to, can they successfully operate as a business? I think the answer would be yes. Awesome. All right, let's see if we can get through.
Before we do this, give me one moment. I'd like to flip those before we get to them.
It's a good move.
And let me turn wrap on for that, and then we'll be ready. I'm ready when you are, Madison.
Awesome. So we've already done staking facilities, and so we'll skip that one.
Okay, that was the one that I just flipped the answers for. So let me do that same thing for chorus 1.
Yep. Thanks for doing this, Superfizz.
I just hope I do it right.
Hopefully this doesn't mess up the Google form.
We're not related to the Google form at all.
Okay,
Yeah.
perfect.
We took your advice, and that's what got us here, Phil.
No, it was good advice. He was definitely correct.
I'm pulling your leg a little bit. It was the right advice. All right. What country is your business based out of? Switzerland, green. Are you confident that you are adhering? We've been doing yellow for all this, so this is automatic. All right. How much control do you have over users' funds? Do you hold 0, 1, or 2 keys? 1, validator keys. 2, withdrawal keys. key shared via threshold sig scheme on Lido.
It would be wise of us to take just a minute to enter a comment here with how we're responding to this. I think we do have a general understanding of our flow, but it would be good to just comment it.
I agree. I think green is having no control over users' funds, right?
Yes.
I think yellow would be maybe they control the validator key or the signing key, but don't have the withdrawal key. Would you guys agree?
Okay.
I don't know.
like to add
That's not consistent with what we used to rate with.
Do you remember what we used to rate with?
I mean, we have at least for Stakefish, we only hold these signing keys, which would fall under yellow in the
But
in
we've
the one
considered
that
that
you're-
green.
But so I don't know what the original color code was, but I am pretty sure it was something along the lines that if they're disclosing what keys they're holding, then it is green. If they're not disclosing it, it's red and something. I don't know.
I disagree. I think it's more than a disclosure or non-disclosure, because holding withdrawal keys is part of due diligence. I do not believe it's safe for someone else to hold your withdrawal keys. So part of due diligence means to me more than just did they answer the question. It is the answer satisfactory to our goals? So for example, if Liquid Stake holds withdrawal keys and the others hold signing keys, and Staker holds a BLS or a threshold or a distributed key, I would say that green is no control, yellow is distributed control, and red is complete control.
Oh, it was just referring to what we might have used as a color code, because at least that's what would explain the current existing one. I'm fine with your suggestion.
I say we proceed with Superfizz's suggestion and make the changes based on these suggestions to the prior answers.
Well, I wanted to be fair. I'm not trying to railroad anything. I was trying to interpret the previous responses because we did think through those carefully at the time.
True, but then if that would have been the color code that we used, then I don't know, Stakefish seems to be more in the yellow one.
So
just as an example, I don't know.
And same with Stakewise, by the way, they would even potentially be red. But I'm okay with changing this framework. If we've updated our framework and we agree that this updated version is a more accurate version of what we're trying to evaluate, I do think it's okay.
Madison, I'm going to take your lead and follow whatever suggestion you tell me to put in here, and we'll go from there.
I say that red be withdrawal, and then we update the answers, the previous answers that we had evaluated based on this new framework.
Or no
correct to you?
answer.
Yep. And I'll tell you what, Superfizz, now that we have that there and it's saved here, I can go through and change those answers afterwards. You don't have to go through and do that.
Well, I have felt strongly that it should be public whenever we make those changes.
Okay, then if you would like to
Wh-
change
which-
it right now, that's fine. I was just thinking about like a work distribution perspective. I didn't want to overburden you, but if you want to change them now, that makes sense.
Even if it takes 10 minutes in a meeting, I think we should add it to the to-do list. I do not think it's fair to stop in the middle of course one because we've given everyone else a consistent flow. I don't want to short sell their evaluation, but it should maybe be the next thing that we do. Because we're working on that whole begin something and finish it, which
Yep.
I know is difficult.
Yep. All right. So how much control do you have over users' funds? Do you hold 0-1 keys, 1 validated key, 2 withdrawal keys shared via threshold sync scheme on Lido? That would be a red under this framework.
Wouldn't be a yellow? Because
Well, who holds the withdrawal key? Is it between the user and the platform?
It's they should have the key holders, I think, on their website. I since I've involved with Lido, I do have some knowledge on that front. Yep.
And there are about six key holders in the BLS threshold signature, right?
I have to check back again. Yeah.
It's enough that I'm comfortable saying it's a distributed key management.
Okay.
So it's still trusted, but it's trusted and distributed, which is a step lower than trustless, but still better than one holder.
Agreed. All right, so I'll mark that as yellow. Do you have any insurance in case funds are lost? No, we've been marking these as red for consistency purposes. What is your company's history in the cryptocurrency space? Genesis, Cosmos, Validator, operating proof of stake and other blockchain node infrastructure. Example, Chainlink Oracle since early 2018, securing $200 million in assets across over 15 networks. I would put that as a green. So pull up that LinkedIn.
Well, there goes my name. Yeah. We need to pull it up.
If you just
under,
what was it?
It would need to be pulled up under a different account. I don't log into.
Do you want
LinkedIn.
to post it and send it to me? Post it in the chat here so I can pull it up.
Superfizz, just real quick, I dropped the feed before that happened, so I'll just edit this out in the recording so you're not doxxed.
Awesome, thank you. And I did put that in the, I will stop share. I put that in the Zoom chat.
Yep,
Madison.
got it. So it just pulls up what it pulls up. It just pulls up a list of their team members. It doesn't even pull up like the individual.
So as an example, like I'm sure some of you guys are aware of Epicenter, the podcast.
Yes.
Like Brian from the Epicenter is basically like the founder of Course One.
Oh, interesting. I'm a fan of this program.
Yeah. So hopefully that helps provide the context on the team members here.
Can I? He says his name at the beginning of every episode. I'm Brian. What's his last name? I want to say it's like Crane or something, but.
Yep.
What's his first name?
Brian.
It's not on LinkedIn. These guys have legit experiences, though. I'm looking at their background. Yeah. You know, they've worked on other blockchains, but senior engineer at Solana or ING. I'd feel comfortable giving them a green.
Yeah, Brian and Meher both were the co-founders of Course One. So both who have been doing Epicenter for ages and ages.
One of my long-term favorites.
They also have reputation at stake. Not only that they have their background knowledge, but also reputation at stake.
All right, so
I'm gonna share this link again. It makes it a little more complicated. Like, I know that they're providing a direct resource, but it makes it a little more difficult when we have to open up the. So they have been audited, apparently. If someone wants to open up that Lido Finance /audits on GitHub and see.
yeah, I'll open that up.
Oh, it's
I'd like to-
Lido's. I mean, they're just
Yep, it's-
they're a Lido provider.
yes,
Are-
that's correct.
So Lido's just a consortium, and it's, I guess, Stakefish, right? JK is a part of the Lido consortium, but you also do independent staking, right?
Yes, that is correct. So under Lido, there's 5 providers right now. That's Stakefish, Staking Facilities, Chorus One, Certus One, and then P2P. So that that's why Staking Facility and Chorus One answers might overlap somewhat.
I would put this as they have been audited. By the way, the audits, 5 are classified as medium risk, 8 are classified as low risk, 5 are classified as informational. I would put that as green.
How many audits have they had completed?
They've had 2 audits completed. They've had a Sigma Prime security assessment in December of last year, and they had a quant stamp audit.
Okay, very good.
They had no high risk issues in the quant stamp audit. They had no high risk issues across any of the audits. All right, describe your staking setup. Do you have your own servers? If no, which hosting provider are you using? Which clients are you using? How many nodes are you using? Do you have some sort of redundancy built in, etc.? Our infrastructure is designed to be secure, highly available, and redundant. Based upon a high availability Kubernetes cluster, our infrastructure spans 5 data centers in 2 European countries and 2 distinct vendors, and as such is tolerant of failure of a complete data center or vendor. We have a team of dedicated and experienced platform engineers previously employed by organizations, including Facebook and the UK government, who bring a wealth of experience in developing and operating sophisticated infrastructure scaling, key management, disaster recovery, monitoring, and alerting solutions. So it's not black box, but it is a data center, yellow. Who is invested in your business? Is there venture capital? Is there a token? Bootstrapped by founders? No outside capital aside from a few minor angels. These founders have been around in crypto for a while, correct?
Yeah.
So we can assume that they're well funded? Yep. How much are you charging for your staking services? 5 to 15% commission rate. Lido charges 10% on ETH2 staking rewards, 50% of which go to an insurance fund and 50% go to node operators at the time of running. I would put this as green.
That's an interesting model. I was not aware of that. Let me do some formatting here.
We'll save the last one for next week.
Okay. Oh,
What
Lido,
kind
yeah,
of-
that would be an interesting one.
What kind of insurance fund are they referring to? Because the previous question about the insurance, they answered with no.
Yep.
So I think
See you next week, right?
Madison's like, I'm
Don't get too
tired.
excited. Don't get too excited, Phil. Try to sneak it in here.
Just do a cliffhanger.
Oh man. Oh. All right. Do you want to go by those answers? I'm happy to stay on Superfizz to go by those answers category by category if you want to get that done in one meeting.
Let's hold a quick vote.
I'll abstain. Do we want to go through those answers right now, or the columns, in order to correct the column answer question, the answers, and adapt the new framework to those previous answers, or do we want to table that for next week? All those in favor of doing it now, raise their hands. Phil, Superfizz, I'm gonna count Superfizz. So that'd be 2. And how many? Oh, 3. So we got him. We got a majority. We'll go with it. Let's do it now.
My I don't care became a vote.
It's like, yeah,
I love
I'm the
it.
East Coast guy. It's okay.
You know
I
what?
can bite the bullet this time.
We'll get it done.
Just sorry, real quick. My involvement really doesn't matter at this point for this part of it, but I'm going to have to bail just because my machine is going to die and I don't have an outlet. But just real quick, Madison, can you send me the Zoom upload somewhere on a drive so I can edit that and then publish to YouTube after this is complete?
Yeah, I'll try getting it to you. I'll try getting it to you.
All right, appreciate it. Thanks, everybody.
Bye.
Thanks. Take care.
Guys, I also have to drop off in about 5 minutes, so I'll stick on until then, and then I'll drop off.
I believe we can do this very quickly. Since according to Madison, we all voted to do it.
Right. How much control do you take over users' funds? So no control over users' funds, none, green. Our customers maintain control of their withdrawal keys, which provide them complete control over the, can you just maximize that box? Movement of funds as well as boards, we maintain the control of the validator keys. So that would be a yellow. Well, what do you think? I don't have as much of a problem with it if they control the keys for the validator. Well, okay, yellow.
I'll put on a sort of a real, like, sort of, what do you call it, cold-hearted like hat on here and just opine that while it does also concern us, withdrawal keys, I know has full control of the funds itself, but there is a small part of the signing key which is pretty important, and it's the exit transactions. Exit transactions cannot be broadcasted without the signing key. So therefore, it does sort of hold some power, although not all. And so I think saying withdrawal keys with users is great, but if signing keys are with validators, I think it's fine to set them as yellow to set apart like totally, pools that would let user control both of them, right?
Yeah, totally agree. But particularly in the case that the holder of the signing key loses the signing. I mean, that wouldn't be a problem, right? Is it the withdrawal key, or is it a mnemonic where you can derive the signing key from? That's the real question, right?
Can you?
If you have this
Go ahead, JK.
this normal process of where the keys are derived, you have this secret where you derive the withdrawal key and the signing key from. And if that's the secret the customer is holding, then at any point they can derive the signing key, right?
Well, you pair up when you deposit, right? You could set up, like, that's one way of doing it, right? So pairing up just a withdrawal key and a signing key and derive it from the same secret, right?
Yep.
But the other option is to pair them up separately.
Sure.
And once you do that, do that, it's over. Like your secret only holds the withdrawal power, and the signing key stays with the validator.
Yeah. So this is why it depends on whether it's really a withdrawal key or whether it's the secret that derived the withdrawal key and the signing key, right? Because otherwise, if it's just the withdrawal key and the signing key gets lost, well, then the funds are stuck there.
I see what you're saying.
But we are not explicit about what 0, 1, or 2 means. I mean, for this question, they're talking about.
It turns out
The
to be a
withdrawal
poorly worded
key.
question. Yeah, because maybe it should be levels of keys, whether they hold signing key, withdrawal key, or mnemonic.
Or maybe maybe a different way of approaching this is sort of similar to how people discuss whether it's an L2 or sidechain, right? The question people ask is, can you withdraw your funds without having to rely on a third party, right? I think that's sort of similar questions that we could be asking and decide on whether it's a green or a red, depending on each of those questions.
Yeah, and in that framework, this would be a yellow.
Did we
Another way
clarify
to
that
look at
in our comment.
Another way to look at it would be, can the staking provider do anything that would lose your funds with the keys? And in that framework, even if you're holding the signing key, you can produce a slashable event, and that would lose part of the funds, right?
Yeah, you could also voluntary exit, which would be really foolish, but.
Yeah, I'm sorry. You guys are just telling me my worst nightmare right now. So,
Phil, would you suggest changes to this so that it would be more clear?
I think you're on mute,
So-
Phil.
Yeah, I was just thinking about it. So we are not, with the current color code, we are not really we are not differentiating between the different keys which are distributed, right?
We since we're going to review the whole question, we can wipe this and make it work.
I don't have the perfect answer for that. I just want to be clear.
how about framing it this way? And I'm shooting this a bit in the open here, but green meaning you could trustlessly exit, take your ETH out whenever you want. Yellow meaning you do need some help from your service provider. Like in the case of validators like us, you do need help on getting the exit transactions, but afterwards you're fully at control of withdrawing. The red meaning you need permission. You need to get permission from the service provider to actually do the exit transaction, and on top of that, you need to rely on them to then send the funds over to an account you control.
So, JK, in the yellow category there, like when you're saying that, like the users need your assistance in order to do the exit transaction, does that mean, like, who has the mnemonic? Because if they had the mnemonic, couldn't they generate signing keys and do the exit transaction even without your cooperation?
No, so when pools, when they deposit, the users don't have so like the signing keys are generated from the validators and the withdrawal keys are generated from the users and then they're paired up.
Oh, okay, got it.
Because elsewise you have a nightmarish scenario where potentially you could have two signing keys somewhere, right? Like it just doesn't make sense. That's not how it's designed, thankfully. Yeah.
Okay, understood.
Phil, how does that sound? Would that get closer to achieving what you think might be an ideal way of answering this?
Yeah, I think that covers at least the one aspect of
because the one
getting funds stuck or looking at from that perspective.
Because the one part is like we need to think of this from a user's perspective, right? Who would have no idea what withdrawal keys or signing keys per se are. Like some might, but like most might not. And what they would just be worried about is like, can I get my funds back?
Yeah.
And I'm just trying to think of how to layer that question.
True. And I'm internally, I'm just thinking about the failure cases, right? One of the failure cases obviously is the company just disappears for whatever reason. And this covers best this scenario where potentially the staking pool just disappears, or I don't know, the servers are seized, or what for whatever reason they can't access their keys.
That makes me think of block staking, where it's the remote signer, so the person staking always has full control over their keys, and no matter what happens to blocks, if it disappears, it is an inconvenience, but it's not catastrophic by any stretch.
Right. And then there are the other failure cases where, for example, slashable events, right? Those are done with the signing key. So I don't think that there is a perfect metric which covers two of those factors, which are, in my opinion, the highest risk in staking or going with a staking provider. Losing funds, because the pool goes rogue, or exit funds or withdraw funds to a different party, or loses the keys, or B, just produce a slashable event and you lose funds that way.
May
And
I
I don't
suggest? I think we may be able to simplify this very easily by saying the pool has full control, the pool has partial control, or the pool has no control. I think those three things might simplify the whole thing. Maybe, and maybe I'm.
Sorry to interrupt. I do need to drop off now, but I'll leave it to you guys, and let me know if you guys need any more input on Discord.
Thanks, JK.
Thank you, JK.
I think it's yellow for this one. At least we know it's yellow for this one.
Which one are we referring to?
That big long
This
one.
one. Okay. Okay.
We control the validator key. Users hold the withdrawal key. That would be a yellow under this context as well. 2, I would assume we have no information. I would say this is red because we just don't have enough information.
2 would mean that, so at least I assume they mean signing and withdrawal key, and that would fall into the category red, where you give them your funds and you're just, it's up to them to give you something back. And you're just
Agreed.
trusting the party, right?
All right, so we only hold the signing keys. That would be yellow, correct?
Yeah.
We use BLS threshold signatures to make sure not a single party owns all the keys.
I think that's still yellow because it sounds like they need to sign for you to exit. Like if it's multi-sig, like presumably you couldn't just exit that on your own.
Okay.
I
And
don't
not,
know. I'll keep it as yellow, I guess.
I'm good with yellow. In the pool service, we will generate a shared withdrawal key with Shamir secret sharing. The parts will be distributed between trusted entities. What do you think, Phil? I would
I
say
would
this is
need to
yellow.
read that completely.
We changed the framework to where I don't know if I can evaluate reds anymore.
Yeah. So Madison, just to give context, I was looking at a pool this week, and I sent my ETH1 deposit, and now they have full custody of my coin. I cannot retrieve my coin. I have zero access to it, and I was like, "Wow, that's a red flag."
Yeah.
I don't know. It's my anecdote.
So I would say that should be yellow, because at no point you can trustlessly without any other party exit. At least from my understanding of their setup.
Cool. Rocket pool 0. That's good.
Now, let me, staking facilities does have an answer down here now. I'd like to merge it up here to give them the benefit.
Yep, that's a good point. We hold the validator keys, not the withdrawal keys, and that would be a yellow. And then the custody withdrawal keys is liquid stake. Our staking service providers currently. I think, do we go over this today?
We did.
Awesome. Slick.
We did, but we have a different. I don't know.
It's okay to review it.
Yeah, let's review it because we changed the metric or the color code for that.
If they custody withdraw keys, that would be a red. Right?
Yes.
Yep, so we're good. Awesome.
Did we? I was gonna say ask we did rocket pool, but I guess it's 0, so that's.
Awesome. I think we're good. We're good.
Yep.
All right. It was the right thing to do. It was the right thing to do to go over it. I'm a little curmudgeonly. It's 12:30 for me, and I got work in the morning, you know. But it was the right thing to do. So I
Oh, no
appreciate.
big deal. 5 a.m. for me.
Yeah, Phil's over here. This is why I feel bad. I remembered. I'm like, Phil's over here at 4 or 5 a.m. in the morning, and I'm complaining about 12:30. So you know, Phil, I literally was thinking about that. I was like, you know what? I need to quit my complaining. I still probably will complain, but. Phil, by the way, you're an engineer, right?
Yes, somewhat.
What's your day job?
My background is in physics.
Physics. Is that what you do as a day job?
We can
Don't
discuss
tell me if you don't
that
want to either.
off recording.
Oh, I'll turn off the recording. Let me turn off the recording.